Welcome back, Truth Seeker. July 13th, 2018. If you're new here, I'm Zachary K. Hubbard. This is Gematria Effect Sports. Used to have a very popular YouTube channel. It was deleted June of 2017 by Google. Since then, I've tried to create a number of channels. They've all been censored. I'm now on a new IP address, have a new phone number attached to this account. Gonna try to create a channel that remains. So be sure to subscribe. This is Gematria Effect Sports. There's gonna be many posts to come. I'll also have another channel, GematriaEffectNews. News stories on that channel, sports related stories on this channel. And that way if they take down one of the channels, the other one will hopefully remain. So, for the first video, Gematria Effect Sports, let's talk about LeBron James going to the Los Angeles Lakers July 1st and why that happened before the Lakers' 71st NBA season. If you're new here, what I have been proving since 2013 is how the world of sports and more is truly scripted by a code. From what happens on the field to what happens off the field in terms of what's presented to mainstream audiences through television and radio. There are no exceptions to this rule. If you learn this code, you will see sports with an entirely different lens for the rest of your life. So, follow. This is very simple to learn, very intuitive. I will explain it as clearly as possible. If you want more information, I'm going to show you at the end of this video what you can get for just $5 that will truly provide more knowledge to you than any 4-year, several $1,000 college education. And that is a guarantee, no gimmicks. So, right here, why did LeBron James go to the Lakers July 1st? I want to remind people, it was reported that he went there for a $153.3 million 3-year deal. Little more than $50 million a year, but the big number here is $153 million. The number 153 is the 17th triangular number. That means if you add 1 through 17 together, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 up to plus 17, it equals 153. And 17 is a very special number to the NBA and LeBron James and more. There's a language called Gematria. It's the ancient practice of coding numbers into words. It's very important to two groups of people, Jewish people and Freemasons. If you think about the NBA, think about who's run the league from its beginning. Jewish people, no secret. And if you go back and look, Naismith, who's credited with the game of basketball, was a Freemason. So was Abner Doubleday, who's credited with Major League Baseball. So was Walter Camp, who's credited with American football. Freemasonry, Judaism, American sports, they go together, hand in hand. You know? So this code, this is who it's important to. But NBA, just taking the alphabetic order, N's the 14th letter, B's the 2nd, A's the 1st. 14 plus 2 plus 1 is 17. Now LeBron James, just like Steph Curry, both born in Ohio, the 17th state in order of statehood. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, the team from Ohio, they were the 17th team to join the NBA. So LeBron James goes from Ohio to the Lakers on July 1st, a date that can be written 1/7, like 17 as it is in the majority of the world, or 7/1 like 71. And this comes before the Lakers' 71st NBA season. Reflections of numbers. Think of them as equivalents in this language. And understand this language of letters and numbers goes back to Hebrew, where you read from right to left. So if you write 17 in English, we see that as 17. In Hebrew, you would read 17 as 71. Reflections. With regards to 17 and the Lakers, their next championship will be their 17th all time. The Lakers have won 16. They trail the Celtics, who've won the most, who've won 17, like how NBA equals 17. You know, over in Major League Baseball, the Yankees have won 27. M plus L plus B is 13 plus 12 plus 2, 27. The word baseball also has gematria of 27. And we'll talk more about these ciphers as we go. But 17, very special number, biblical number that symbolizes God, and we'll elaborate more on that. The word mason equals 17, and modern masonry began in 1717. The date June 24th in London. So 17, it's bigger than the NBA. It's bigger than basketball. It's a very symbolic number. This code of letters and numbers is biblical. 17 is a number that symbolizes God. We'll talk more about that. With regards to all this focus on 17, LeBron's upcoming NBA season is going to be his 16th, and then the following will be his 17th. He's going to be 35 years old for his 17th season. King James equals 35. And I won't be surprised at all if LeBron James brings home championship number 17 for the Lakers in his 17th season in light of this July 1st 1/7 signing. There's a whole lot more here. Just want you to see this. The Lakers have played 70 seasons so far. That's through 2017-18. The 71st season is going to be 2018-19. So, gematria. Let's learn more about it in case you're new here. A long time ago when I began this research and had a YouTube channel that grew to be very popular, there weren't any calculators online to do this research, and I had to do everything by hand, and I used to do it on pen and paper, and I used to do it on a whiteboard. Since then, a person's come along, Derek, he has his own Gematria channel, and he built this calculator, Gematrianeer.com. I gave him some input on the building, and if you go to Tools and Calculator at the top of this page, Gematrianeer.com, when it loads up, it'll give you 4 ciphers. So when you put in a letter or a word, it'll give you 4 values. And I'm going to explain to you how this system works. These are your 4 base ciphers. Words that have relationships have gematria overlap. Gavel and judge. Can you see down here that judge and gavel have the same numerical value in all 4 ciphers? Broom. Witch, the same in all 4 ciphers. Words that have relationships have numerical equivalents, a lot of times in all 4 ciphers. And sometimes that numerical equivalence is just in 2 of the 4 ciphers or 3 of the 4 ciphers. Notice here, LeBron James, he's now the king of the West. They're calling him this on ESPN. And we're going to hear a lot about it, you can imagine, for as long as he's in the Western Conference for the first time in his career. In his 16th season, he goes to the team with 16 championships. But just notice, king using the alphabetic order. Let's understand what these ciphers are. English ordinal is the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, up to Z. The 26th letter is 26. Full reduction, what that is the alphabetic order plus the rules of numerology. So, for example, king with the alphabetic order, K's the 11th letter, I's the 9th, N's the 14th, G's the 7th. You add those letters together, king equals 41. Now, in numerology, what you do is you reduce each letter to a single digit number. So instead of K being 11, it becomes 1 plus 1 equals 2. So K is 2. I is the 9th letter, I is still 9 in reduction and ordinal. N, instead of being the 14th letter, becomes 1 plus 4 is 5. G's the 7th letter, so G is 7 in ordinal and reduction. You're making each letter, its numerical value, a single digit. So it becomes 2 plus 9 plus 5 plus 7, which equals 23. And think about it, LeBron wears 23. Special number. The word symbol in the same cipher breaks down to 23. Now, these 2 other ciphers, all they're doing is flipping the alphabetic order around. So instead of A being 1 and Z being 26, Z is now 1 and A is 26. King equals 67 when you do that. And this last cipher is the alphabetic order in reverse with the rules of numerology. These are your 4 base ciphers, very intuitive, very simple to learn. If you want to be able to do all 4 ciphers in your head, and I promise you, all of you out there can do it, all you have to do is remember the numerical value of each letter A to Z. A1, B2, C3, D4 up to Z is 26. If you practice just writing out words, you will learn this quicker than you think. When you know the numerical value A to Z, you can figure out all the other ciphers in your head. Anyone out there can go, oh, Z in numerology, which is full reduction, is 2 plus 6 is 8. So Z is 8 in the full reduction cipher. For the reverse, you just need to remember a simple formula. 27 minus whatever the ordinal value is. So like, let's just say you're trying to remember what P is. If you know that P is the 16th letter, which it is, then in reverse, P is 27 minus 16. So P is 11 in reverse. And then if you wanted to know what P was in reverse reduction, well, you know it's 11 in reverse. Now you just got to do 1 plus 1 is 2. See what I mean? If you know A to Z, 1 to 26, which isn't that hard to memorize, just a little bit of practice, you can get the other ciphers just with simple mathematics. So let's move on. Just want you to notice though that King and West in the 4 base ciphers, there's overlap in 4. King 41, West 41, West 67, King 67, King 23, West 23, King of the West, you know. So his contract was $153.3 million. The day of the news, a lot of sources said he went there for $154 million, and that wasn't an accident or a typo. It was more numerical ritual. They call LeBron James King James. King James in the base ciphers, 154. And let's not forget that LeBron James won the 1 championship for Cleveland on the real King James's birthday, June 19th, 2016. Not arbitrarily. The name Cavaliers has to do with King James. King James's son, King Charles, the people who followed and fought on his behalf were called Cavaliers. What it goes to show is LeBron James was born and bred to be like so many professional athletes are. I'd say go back and watch my video about the death of Nate Thurmond 27 days after LeBron James scored 27 points on the King James's birthday. Nate Thurmond had his number retired with the Warriors and Cavs. I suspect that Nate Thurmond is the real father of LeBron James. They look very much alike. They have a very similar build. They're both amazing basketball players. They're both born in the same hospital in Ohio. Nate Thurmond, go back and look at his death, 27 days after LeBron scored 27. The word ritual equals 27. When the Cavs won the finals that year, it was their 103rd game of the season. 103 is the 27th prime number. How fitting for LeBron to score 27. If you go back and see what happened that day, just before the game, one of the big news stories was that a Hollywood actor crushed and killed himself in his own driveway with his own car in a story that didn't make any sense. And if you go back and look, that actor was 27 years old. And he had birth numerology of 103. 103, the 27th prime. Another member of the 27 club before the Cavs won the championship. We're going to talk about how death and killing and sacrifice is part of these scripted sports leagues. And it happens again and again by the same code. But anyway, moving on. LeBron James, King James, he signs with the Lakers. The Lakers really are a fitting team for LeBron. Lakers with the alphabetic order, 66. LeBron with the alphabetic order, 66. LeBron James in reduction with the alphabetic order in reverse, 66. Now, we talked about the base 4 ciphers. There are more ciphers that are important. And one of the most important ciphers outside of the base ciphers is what is known as Jewish gematria, which is a tribute to Latin. The alphabets that came before English, many of them incorporated gematria, Hebrew, Greek, Latin. English just follows the tradition. And in this cipher, the word king equals 66. And let's not forget what year King James, the real King James, was born in. 1566. And the Bible in King James's name is 66 books. This entire code, again, it is biblical. The Bible is a book of numbers. The 4th book of the Bible is called Numbers. All of the numerical riddles, they gain their relevance from the Bible. And the 66th book of most Bibles, including the King James Bible, is Revelation. Notice that Revelation with the alphabetic order sums to 121. That number has a square root of 11. 11. If you add 1 through 11 together, it equals 66. 66 is the 11th triangular number. I predicted many years ago that LeBron James would leave the Cavs at the end of last season, which he did, and I thought he would go to a major city. And I suspected that city would be New York. It made sense for me, or to me, for him to stay in the East, but we see why he's going to the Lakers. We see what the riddle is. He has gone to a major city. So my prediction from years ago, 3-4 years ago, about him going to a major city after his concluding season at age 33, it came true. You know, we'll talk about why this is. You know, it's becoming very clear why it's the Lakers. So anyway, 66, Lakers, LeBron James. We're going to elaborate more on this number. We're going to learn more about it. We're going to come back to 66 in a moment. But I want you to see something else. July 1st, the day of this big news. That's the day leaving 183 days left in the year. LeBron James, 183 in the base ciphers, just when you flip the alphabetic order around. And understand, the English alphabet was standardized as a 26-letter alphabet at the same time the Gregorian calendar was established in the world. And not coincidentally, this is all part of a greater plan by powerful people. The people who control governments, churches, the Catholic Church. You know, a lot of these basketball players played at Catholic high schools, including LeBron. Masonry, the Jesuits, the Catholic Church, world government, world banking, world industry. Power players like this have had a stranglehold on the world and its people over time, and they have done their bidding. They have carried out their agenda by this code. This is why English has become the language of the world, to go along with the newer calendar system we're on, the Gregorian calendar. These things happen in history at the exact same time. So anyway, LeBron James, 183, big move on the day leaving 183 days left in the year. Now consider this. LeBron goes to Los Angeles, a sprawling city that covers the 33rd parallel, in his 16th season, while they have 16 championships. I want you to see that when you write out 16 as a word in the base cipher 33, just like LeBron, just like James, just like Cleveland, just like NBA Finals. You know, years ago I told everybody it was a guarantee that LeBron James was going to win the finals in his 13th season. I said why it would be on the real King James's birthday, who became a king at 13 months of age. Remember, he was down 3-1 in that series. And it was the 33rd time a team had been down 3-1 in the NBA playoffs. Never once had a team come back and won. Well, LeBron and Cleveland, the 33rd team to be in that situation, the first to do it. And all as numerical ritual. 33, big number. Masonry equals 33. Secrecy 33. Order 33. And a whole lot more. Goes back to the Kundalini, the spiritual belief about ascension, spiritual ascension up the 33 vertebrae of the human spine. Anyway, again, there's a reason for all these numbers. I should have pointed out, I think I did down here, that if you write out 33 as a word, it sums to 66. You know, we've been talking a lot about 66. So 33 and 66. Now we're going to make a greater point here. This code of letters and numbers, it is hinted to very clearly in Revelation, the 66th book of the Bible. Revelation 13:18, about the number of the beast, the number of a man, which is 666, where in the same book, man is created on the 6th day, the first perfect number. If you guys want to look up what perfect numbers are, they're the numbers where their divisors sum to what they equal. The first two perfect numbers are 6 and 28. And look, if you write out man with the alphabetic order, sums to 28. Man, 28. Man made on the 6th day, the first two perfect numbers. The next perfect number is 400 and maybe, it's 400 and something. The third perfect number is a much bigger number than 6 and 28. And then it gets bigger and bigger. There's not that many perfect numbers. They're rare. But 6 and 28 are the first two. Man, 28 with the alphabetic order. And what did we say about 17, you know? Man, made in the image of God, you know? So anyway, Revelation, the 66th book of the Bible, where you learn about 666, the number of the beast. And notice number of the beast equals 66. LeBron James and other star athletes are often referred to as beasts, you know, beast mode. So number of the beast equals 66. 66th book of the Bible. Remember this thing from the year that LeBron won in 2016? One of the stories was that LeBron became the first player since Bill Russell to go to 6 straight NBA Finals since 66. 6 straight since 66. And they do this all the time. You know, here's Kermit Washington, ESPN, right on their ticker. Kermit Washington, 66 years old, sentenced to 6 years in prison. And who was Kermit Washington drafted by? Kermit Washington drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers. You know, this news came right after LeBron James went to the Lakers. Then you hear about Kermit Washington going to prison for 6 years at age 66. And we'll talk more about why. When you write out the NBA Finals, so this cipher right here, what this is, the NBA Finals, I'll just show you this. If you write out the NBA Finals, it equals 111 with the alphabetic order. This past NBA Finals, the fourth one between the Warriors and Cavs, if you go back and look at how many times they've played in the regular season, they've played 111 times now. 111 times, and then they meet in the NBA Finals for the fourth time and the last time, for the time being at least. You know, it's not going to happen next year, obviously. The way you get this number to 666 is multiply it by 6. And what Sumerian gematria is multiplying the alphabetic order times 6. So A is 6, B is 12, C is 18, D is 24. 111 times 6, 666. You write out basketball game, it equals 111. 111 times 6, 666. Think about where LeBron played. He played in Cleveland, the 216 area code. If you multiply 6 times 6 times 6, it equals 216. The year LeBron won the finals with Cleveland, the last game in Cleveland, game 6, the final score was 216 points, and not coincidentally. There's a movie out there, Pi, P-I, like the symbol that you learned about in geometry, you know, that you use to get the measurements for circles and many other things, Pi. In the film Pi, the protagonist is chasing the number 216. And in that film, they introduced gematria. Two Jewish men having a conversation about how important gematria is. Watch that movie. So, in light of all this 666, consider this. LeBron James is now 3-6 in NBA Finals. Last year, before the season began, I put out a video saying I expected LeBron to go to the finals and lose and become 3-6. Remember, Dwayne Wade joined the Cavaliers last year. The two men, LeBron and Wade, who played in Miami, who wore the numbers 3 and 6, like 36. LeBron now 3-6 in finals. What 666 is the 36th triangular number, meaning if you add 1 through 36 together, it equals 666. You see how this works? 6 plus 6 plus 6 is also 18. What year are we in right now? 2018. I suspect that by the end of LeBron's 3-year deal with the Lakers might very well have won 18 championships, and I think LeBron might retire at the end of that season at age 36. I think LeBron's definitely going to miss the NBA Finals this upcoming season, but I think his next 2 years after that, he's going to go. And I suspect for the Lakers' 17th championship, of course, they will beat the Celtics, who've already won 17. And I think for the final championship, which would be his 18th, I think it'll be against Philadelphia. Philadelphia, they're a city that gets its name from Revelation, the final book of the Bible, where the number 666 is taught about. And again, it's Revelation 13:18. 18 factors into 6 plus 6 plus 6. 13 is the 6th prime number. Revelation 13:18 about 666. You see how this goes? By the way, this score right here, think about how often scores finish with 113 points. It happens all the time in the NBA. A lot of LeBron's signature games, somebody finishes with 87. Here's why. James, Gematria of 87 in the base ciphers. The National Basketball Association, 113. Remember the NBA Finals, the third time the Warriors and Cavs faced in the championship? How the first 3 games, one of those scores was 113 points, and then it was almost 4 games in a row. It was in the final seconds that there was a cleanup bucket that didn't need to happen that took the score off 113. But they teased everybody, almost going 4 straight games with 113 points, and then made the bucket, so it was, I forget, 115 or 116. But there's a reason. Everything in the NBA is scripted. Every player move, every game, every score, they use technology in the NBA to ensure outcomes. Cavaliers also won that series with this thing 4-2. In the Bible, 666 is the number of the beast, and the beast rules for 42 months. 4 plus 2 equals 6, right? And not only that, but LeBron James, 42. And he tied Bill Russell, also 42. See how this goes? And if you know the Bible, the New Testament is 27 books. LeBron scored 27. The King James riddle. King James has a Bible named in his honor. The first of those 27 books is Matthew. Math. It's all mathematics. The word math, 42. The word new, 42, as in New Testament, which begins with the 42 generations to Jesus. And if you write out New Testament, also 42. This is where these numbers come from. Jesus has hair of wool, like a black person. 42 stamped all over black history. You know, the number 42 on Jackie Robinson, who wasn't truly the first black baseball player in Black Major League. It was Moses Walker, who played in exactly 42 games, and Moses Walker's 42. And you know the N-word, it sums to 42. You know Black History Month, the only month that sums to 42 in reduction. You know? Whole lot more to all of this. You know about Black History on the Bus, 42. You know Martin, like Martin Luther King Jr., 42. The sitcom Martin, where he lived in apartment number 42. You know about Malcolm X, 42. and a million more. I'll tell you a book where you can learn a lot more about this at the end of this video. It's all in that $5 book. 42. The reason why is it's biblical. The Jews in the Bible are black people. By the way, this entire code really does come from the first 5 books of the Bible, the Torah. 5, one of the numbers that has 42, where the Jews are clearly black people. And then you have Jesus with this hair of wool, who somehow is now remembered as a white person with long brown hair. Doesn't make any sense. Or does it? Because in the end of the Bible it says the false Jews will rule in the end times. You know, the people we call Jewish in this world, are they black? You know, weird that they are in the Bible, but somehow in this world, you know, black people aren't considered the Jews anymore. How'd that happen? Anyway, let's come back to another point. Years ago, when I predicted LeBron would go to a major city this year, as he now has done, I said that I also suspect LeBron will finish his NBA career 4-7 in NBA Finals. So far, he's played in 9. So that would mean he'd play in 2 more finals. And I think they are going to come with LA. And I think it's not going to be this year, but then the next 2 years. And I suspect he retires at age 36. It makes a lot of sense. That's old in basketball years. Then again, LeBron, I mean, the shape he's in. If he doesn't retire in the next 2 years, they might play him until he's 42 years old. But anyway, in the next 2 years, very possible, or in the next 3 years, excuse me, very possible that he makes it to his 11th NBA championship, his 10th and his 11th. The reason I've been saying I think he'll go 4-7 is because Beast equals 47. The first NBA championship won by the Philadelphia Warriors over the Chicago Stags was in 47. 47 is such a special number to Freemasonry. 47 degrees on the Freemason compass. It's a tribute to the 47th problem of Euclid about how to establish foundation. It's why the NFL had its first Super Bowl in its 47th season. It's why this number is important to every sports league. It's why Jackie Robinson was called up in the year 47. Again, it's why the NBA had its first championship in 47. It's also a number that symbolizes time. Time, 47. The tropics of this earth that measure the solstices for the northern and southern hemisphere are 47 degrees apart. 47. Very special number. Huge number. If you're new here, there's such a long list of 47 I'm not sharing with you right now, but just understand this number. Incredibly special. So LeBron the Beast from Ohio. It would make a lot of sense if he finishes 4-7. And consider that's, again, 11 championships. When you add 1 through 11, it equals 66, like Lakers, like LeBron, like everything else we covered. So here's Revelation 13:18. Here is wisdom. Here is wisdom equals 66, just like number of the beast. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. 60 means 60. You know, Abe Lincoln, 47 years ago. 47. President equals 47. Caesar 47. Government 47. Authority 47. White House 47. Republican 47. Whig 47. The Whig Party became the Republican Party under Lincoln. Democrat 47. And a whole lot more. Trump 47. He was in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel the night of the rig selection. Anyway, 666, Revelation 13:18. What this is, the New Testament was originally written in Greek. The Greeks were practitioners of this code of letters and numbers. They learned it from the civilizations that came before them, the Babylonians and so on. Letters and numbers, old world spiritual belief, Kabbalah, God created the world by merging the letter with the number. Anyway, when the Greeks wrote numerical riddles like Revelation 13:18, they were known as isopsephy riddles. And look at the word isopsephy, 666. This is a Greek isopsephy riddle. Takes wisdom, mathematical understanding of the world to solve. You know? Just look at it. Number of the beast. The number of a man, 66. The word mankind, 66. Again, man made on the sixth day. Here is wisdom, 66. When you write out 33, it equals 66. When you write out people, it equals 33. When you write out person, it equals 33. Again, 33 vertebrae in the human being. Kundalini, Freemasonry, based in Kabbalah, based in Kundalini. And here, I'll just show you something about this word Kundalini, spelled like this. Kundalini in the base cipher, 58. Look at Freemasonry, 58. Look at secret society, 58. Big number. Real big number. $33, also an important number in the Bible. Bible 33, good book 33. LeBron going to the Lakers in the city of Los Angeles, which covers the 33rd parallel at age 33. Everything about LeBron, part of this ongoing King James riddle. He played his first career game against the Kings, and he played 42 minutes in that game. Go back and look it up. Facts. So here it is, $153.3 million deal. Notice there's 153 in there, and then 3.3. That's like 33, isn't it? Again, Bible 33, good book 33, biblical number. Notice Holy Bible's 153 in the base ciphers, just like the Bible. And why? Again, when you add 1 through 17, it equals 153. God has gematria of 17. Another name for God is El. And there's a lot of words connected to God that have gematria of 17. But this is what it's about. And, in Masonry, you have to believe in God. And I happen to have this right here next to me right now. This is a Freemason Bible. No, I'm not a Freemason. Somebody sent this to me in the mail. A lot of people out there have reached out and sent me resources. But this is a big Freemason Bible right here. This thing is huge. And, this is where it all is right here. All of this stuff is related to spirituality, old world beliefs about God. The beginning of the Bible, God speaks the world into existence in numbered days, letters and numbers. Notice the word spell has gematria of 26, just like the word letter, and a whole lot more. You want to learn more about this? Again, I'm going to tell you the $5 resource where you can get it all. Last year, people were saying I was wrong all year, that there was no way LeBron could make the finals. But from the beginning of the season, I said LeBron's a lock for the finals. It's as clear as day. From his 33rd birthday to the start of the finals on May 31st was 153 days. And if you listen to my radio program, I explained why I expected LeBron to be swept in 4 games. In the 4th time the Warriors and Cavs faced each other. Game 4 was on June 8th. June 8th, 6-8. Look at the gematria of sweep with the alphabetic order, 68. You see that? Get sweep. In basketball also has the gematria of 68. Gematria means geometry in language, and all of this stuff is related to sacred geometry, which is also spiritual. So understand, there's a reason for all of this. But LeBron, 153 days after his 33rd birthday, playing for the team from the 17th state, it was just easy to say that he was a lock for the finals. Everything is scripted this way. LeBron James was birthed on December 30th, just like Tiger Woods, for a very specific reason. That is the only day in the calendar year where you can add the day plus the month and it equals 42. 12 plus 30, 42. LeBron James, 42. Number stamped all over Black history. They made a big deal about Tiger Woods in the Masters this year, a bigger noise that they made about it in several years before, ever since he's been purposefully sabotaged at age 42. See how this goes? Notice that was also 21 weeks and 6 days, 216, Cleveland the 216, 6 times 6 times 6. A little bit more about him going to the Lakers on July 1st, 18. 7 plus 1 plus 18, the numerology of the date, 26. He's following Kobe Bryant. He's the biggest star there since Bryant. Bryant, 26. He's following the legacy of Jordan. Jordan, 26. Athlete, 26. Sports, 26. Game, 26. Did you watch Wimbledon today? How the set ended with the 26th game? And if anybody knows how to play tennis, it was clear as day that those guys were not trying to win the game. They were just trying to get to the 26th game as quickly as possible because that's how it was all scripted. The entire world of sports that comes through the media that has gambling on it, it's all scripted. And if you have eyes to see and a mind that works and you know anything about these games, you should be able to see right through it. You know, I happen to be someone who has a pretty bright mind, and I'm also a good athlete. I was really good at tennis when I was younger. It was one of my best sports. I could have beat those guys today. They weren't even trying to play. They weren't even trying to play. It was just such a joke. It was such a joke to watch. Of course, ends in the 26th. It's just, when you know the code, you see what they're doing. But think about it. Game with the G, the Freemason logo with the big G in it. Instruments of geometry, you know? Instruments of geometry around that big G. God, 26. You got to believe in God to be a Freemason. Mathematics, the mathematics of the Bible. The old world belief that God is the master mathematician, the geometer of this world. You know that Freemason logo? The compass, the square, the capital G. Instruments of mathematics, right? Freemason, 42. Math, 42. Remember that there's a cipher where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6? Notice G7, what's 7 times 6? 42. You know? Gnosticism, another important thing to Masonry. Gnostic, 33. And I should also mention, just talking about Kobe and Michael, Brian and Jordan. Notice that Kobe's 33. Notice that Michael's 33. Again, LeBron's 33. So is James, 33. These numbers are special. These numbers are sacred. These numbers are biblical. These people are worshiped like gods. 26 letters in the English alphabet. This concept goes back to the Greeks. The Greeks wrote the New Testament. The Greeks took this knowledge from Babylon. You see? You don't want to be a coincidence theorist. All of this stuff is really well thought out, planned, executed, perfected. And when you have the eyes to see, if you know that this is happening, it's easy to see through all of it, you know? So I'm going to make another video. This video is already a bit long, so I'm going to cut this one off here. But in the next video, I want to talk again about Kermit Washington. We'll mention that. But more importantly, I want to talk about the death of Tyler Honeycutt and the death of Billy Knight the next day. 2 former UCLA basketball players who died right after LeBron James went to Los Angeles, where they played basketball. And in the case of Tyler Honeycutt, who died first, look at this. He was the 35th overall pick by the Sacramento Kings. And one more time, King James, 35. LeBron James became 3-5 in finals, losing to Kevin Durant, number 35. You know? So that's the next video. Also, if you got $5, I promise you this will be the best $5 you ever spend. Go out and pick up the 773-page book I wrote. You don't have to read all of it. You can read the first 16 pages and you'll have gotten more than your money's worth. And then you can skip through the book. You can read the chapter on rig sports. You know, you can be selective about what chapters you want to read. I've put about 10 books into one book and I've priced it at $5. Not because this book's cheap or not valuable, but because I want everyone to be able to afford it. And I would make it free, but the thing is, I gave up the last 5+ years of my life putting out this research for free, making absolutely no money, and falling behind in this world financially. I need people to come back and support and invest in this work so I can take it to the next level. If enough people can come out and pick up this book for $5, that can give me a platform to get out and speak out where I need to speak out. I want to create a campaign where we're showing up at these rigged sports games, where we're showing up at these propaganda-based news stories, and we're putting out these knowledge on the streets, and we got an audience. And, hopefully I have enough revenue coming in that I can pay other people to go out and do the same thing and get this message out, all across the world. Wrongdoing is happening. People are being murdered. People are being needlessly scared. And people are wasting their lives watching rigged sports. Every single day all throughout this world, people are going and pouring in all this money to these sports leagues, which are absolutely bankrupt, corrupt, sick, truly demonic. There is ritual sacrifice every day, left and right, for these rigged sports. And again, it's because all of this stuff is biblical. The God of the Old Testament, where this code comes from, demands sacrifice, human sacrifice, ritual sacrifice. And I'm going to talk more about that in the next video, talking about the deaths of these two players who have everything to do with LeBron James coming to town. I've said it before, I've said it many times, years and years. There's no one in the world of sports who gets more ritual sacrifice for them right now than LeBron James. It's also true for other big athletes, but there's no one who gets more than LeBron James. And he probably is the biggest, most famous athlete in the world. Basketball is about the stars, the individuals. LeBron James is that person at this moment in history. Just like Kobe's been that person, just like Michael's been that person, and other men before then. But here, before we go, I just want to read what a couple of people wrote. There's several reviews like this. These are the two latest. Really encourages me to see people leave these types of reviews after reading this book. This person right here, Val, he writes, I bought this last month. He just posted this yesterday, July 12th. I bought this last month, and I can honestly say this is the best book I've spent money on. As somebody that has hated reading math and never really excelled in it during school, gematria and numerology have changed my perception on the subjects. These pages contain some of the most crucial information I think every English-speaking person should know. I came across Zach earlier this year in January, right after Minnesota Miracle. Remember the 61-yard play? 61. The word miracle with the alphabetic order equals 61 plus a whole lot more. 61, the 18th prime. It happened in 2018. If you missed my video on the Minnesota Miracle, everything about that player, Ty Diggs, born and bred to be. He was drafted in the right spot for that play. His whole career was set up for that play. Pro sports are this scripted. So anyway, this is how he found my work. We got young Decode calling the radio show. He found me at the same time, a 14-year-old. He saw my work on the Kansas City Chiefs and their rigged playoff game. This work needs to reach more people. Every person deserves to have this knowledge because this knowledge is so powerful. It's so undeniable. In this book, I wrote about the rituals with LeBron James in 44 and 98. This book released in March. In the playoffs, you'll recall, LeBron James hit the game winner, his 44th points of the game, giving the Cavs 98 points in the win. Now, my book, which was written and released before that, talks about how they do these rituals with LeBron, who has chosen one tattooed on his back, 98-44. You read what's in this book, you'll see how many times it's proven itself over already in just a few months since. And through the rest of history, it's going to continue to prove itself true and correct because we have figured out the way these people operate, the code, the patterns, the rituals, the meaning to these numbers. And, just to understand, the word chosen also has Gematria of 98. LeBron's tattoo, Chosen One. And National Basketball Association, when spelled correctly, 98. There's a reason for it. There's a reason for it. So, continuing with what he wrote. These pages contain some of the most crucial information I think every English-speaking person should know. I came across Zach earlier this year in January, right after the Minnesota Miracle play, and I can only say that this and other work speaks true to this code. Truth seekers become true speakers when they learn this knowledge. I think that's something I say. Thanks, Zach. hope you can find a publisher for this very soon. So I also need a publisher out there to help get this book out on a bigger level. I'm selling it through Etsy, which is a arts and crafts website, for people who don't have a publisher and people who don't have, the right connection to get it out where it deserves to be. Here's another guy who wrote a great review. From Australia, he wrote this June 15th. Zachary Hubbard from Australia. I love your work. This book is the best book I've ever read. Your knowledge is amazing, and once you start reading this, it's impossible to put down. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing your wisdom and giving me my awakening. I now know you were my number 11 that I see so often every single day. 100% highly recommended. Everyone buy the book. It's a must-have for every living soul. If you want to know what he's talking about with the 11... read the book. I show the organic side of the code, which is absolutely real as well. And there is really something interesting about my life in 11. And something that I didn't put in the book is that my grandfather was born January 11th. My grandmother was born February 11th. And there's a whole lot more 11s in our family. So, there really is another very interesting piece of this knowledge, and you can find the numerical patterns in your family and family history because all of us seem to have this going on. Remember, there's a reason that these people do this. There's an old world spiritual belief that God created the world by merging the letter with the number. And as dumb as that might sound, when you give it some thought and you actually do some research and see if there's anything to it, you'll find what I've found and what many other people found, and that is that there is an element of truth to this. Just in case you're new here, what I do share in the end of the book about the organic side is that my father's full name and my full name in the same cipher, we both sum to 89. My mother's birthday is 8/9, September 8th. The day I was born is the coldest recorded date in history. You look it up. If you type into Google, here, we'll just do it right now. What's the coldest recorded day in history? What's the coldest recorded day in history? It's going to give you one answer. That day is July 21st, 1983, and the temperature was negative 89 Celsius. Negative 89. That's what day I was born. I'll turn 35 later this month. And I'll just show you this real quick. I show it in the book. If you go to if you look up a numerology book at your local bookstore, you'll likely find authors that will tell you one way to decode your name. And it's this blue cipher right here, the alphabetic order plus the rules of numerology. And if you write out my full name, which is Zachary Keith Hubbard, it sums to 89. If I write out my dad's full name, 89. What else is weird is my dad's phone number is 989-8099. And since cell phones came out and he's had a cell phone, that's been his number. It just weirds me out so much. 989-8099. I mean, what are the odds? And again, my mother's birthday is September 8th, 8/9. 89 is the 11th Fibonacci number, right? 89 is the 11th Fibonacci number. The next Fibonacci number is 144. And the Fibonacci numbers are said to be the numbers of God. My parents' birthdays are 144 days apart. So the next Fibonacci number after 89 is 144. My parents' birthdays are 144 days apart. I mean, and it gets stranger. But, so I have that connection to 11 through 89, the 11th Fibonacci number. And what else is interesting is, whoops, not Timothy Hubbard, that's my dad's name, but my name, Zachary Hubbard, in that cipher is 66, which is the 11th triangular number. And, 89, 66, important numbers in the Bible. The entire Bible, 66 books. The gospel is 89 chapters. And again, 89 is the 11th Fibonacci. Understand, I'm not saying I'm Jesus. That's not what I mean at all. But I just want you to see that the name Jesus is 11. The gospel's the story of Jesus. 89, the 11th Fibonacci. You see how they've done this? Fibonacci numbers, numbers of God. Check out that movie Pi. In the same section of the movie where they're talking about geometry, they're talking about, or gematria, excuse me, which means geometry in language, they're talking about the Fibonacci numbers. They're bringing it together. And a lot of relationships with the Fibonacci numbers in gematria, which are things I've talked about in the past and things I'll talk about in future videos. But anyway, going way too long here. Think we covered it all. Next video, definitely going to talk about the deaths of Tyler Honeycutt and Billy Knight. Back-to-back days, Los Angeles basketball players. This is the sickest part of this code. The fact that people are murdered by this code. Look up the song Murder by Numbers, which came out in '83. Murder by Numbers, '83. Song's about how simple it is to kill people. A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. Kind of like the Jackson 5 song. We just saw the death of Joe Jackson by the numbers. You know, what age did Joseph just die at? 89. 9 years and 2 days after Michael's death. Michael died June 25th. Joseph Jackson dead June 27th, the day leaving 187 days left in the year, the homicide code. Anyway, Truth Seeker, getting tens gentle. Be sure to sub this channel. Be sure to look for my other channel, GematriaEffectNews. Every Wednesday night, Gematria Effect on Truth Frequency Radio. You know, got to get more people listening to that radio show again. Ever since my YouTube channels have been taken down, people have stopped listening to the radio program. The listenership is way down. Makes me sad. YouTube silences me, and then the people who follow my work just stop following. That shows that YouTube is having too much influence over people, you know. Used to be popping on Wednesday nights. The Gematria Effect chat room used to be huge. Now it's as quiet as a mouse. And it shouldn't be that way, you know. The powers that shouldn't be are silencing me, and the people are helping with that silencing, you know. We got to get Gematria Effect. We got to get the listenership back up. The knowledge has to be getting out, you know. All right, Truth Seeker. One last thing. Shout out to Darrell. Shout out to all the Truth Seekers, all the supporters. Darrell has been pushing me for months to get back on YouTube. You know, he said there's got to be a way to get back on there. Finally got the new IP address. Got the new phone number attached. And now we're getting the videos back out. So shout out to Darrell and everyone else. Need that support. Down below, I'm going to link where you can pick up the book through Etsy. I'm going to link the radio show every Wednesday night. Check your time zone. I'm on the West Coast. It's 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. out west. You got to do the math for your own time zone. Means if you're on the East Coast, it's 9 p.m. to midnight. Read the description, Truth Seeker. Links for the channels. Links for the book. Links for everything you need to know. The blog, all of it. All right, until next time.